Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second deep dive into Meteor 3.0. I would say probably the first proper deep dive because the first one was big overview. This time we'll be looking into Meteor packages in 3.0 and especially the migration process. This is probably the biggest pain area given how many packages people use from the community because of how, in general, how wonderful they are. But of course, with major versions come some major pay points. So we'll be looking into that. And I think my initial feeling about this, or in general about Meteor 3.0 migration, yes, there's in many cases quite some lot of work to do, but I think a lot of that is also unnecessary, I would say, fear. So we'll try to dispel some of the myths and issue. What do you think, Jan?
Yeah, I mean, this is for most people the biggest pain point, right? Is getting all these dependencies work out, peer dependencies work out, um, knowing which packages are compatible and how to understand what conflicts are actually there to resolve and how to resolve them.
Yes. So we are, as Alim affectionately calls, the Jan brothers. I am Jan Dvorak, aka Storyteller CZ, and with me is here.
Jan Küster from Germany. Hello, hello.
So let's get our presentation and all that stuff started. So that's our topic for today. We'll be looking at migrating packages themselves, then going over some how to handle them in your applications. And we'll probably cover some examples, maybe migrate a package or two, then have some question and answer. If you're watching this from a recording, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us, or even better, add a comment on the video, and we'll be happy to answer any question that you have in the comments. So let us jump straight into it and go into our first, let's say, for me, that was probably one of the biggest surprises, and that is because of just how comfortable Meteor was up till now, and it's getting a bit stricter. First thing that you need to ensure is that you have all dependencies declared. This is because now the Meteor setup is now async as well, so it kind of gets and tries to set up everything as fast as possible, which means that sometimes some of the things that you would have expect to have by default on fully running Meteor application, you don't have in the setup process. Specifically, I would say this the biggest surprise for me, at least, was the DDP package, which also the subscribe or sorry publish all the methods the Meteor object. So if you don't declare the DDP, you suddenly will find yourself like, hey, I cannot find the publish method on the Meteor object. And it's like, and you're like, what's going on here? And that means that you are missing dependency, in this case, the DDP package.
I mean, this might surprise some people because usually Meteor had this everything is out of the box philosophy. But at the same time, this is to ensure that you only have the packages you really need. And if you don't need certain functionality, then why having packages added, which in the end will only bloat your client-side packages, thus creating more longer load times. And this is not what you want, because this is not what your clients want, right?
Exactly. So in this case, it's mostly performance based. I do believe if you have something running after the application startup, then you could probably get away of not including the dependency if you know for certain that the dependency is going to be in the app. So that is not an approach to take when you are actually building packages outside just for your project. So reviewing your package dependencies in that regard, I would say, is very crucial and also helpful, because then you also need to take a look on what are you actually needing, what do you need, and all that stuff. Let's actually, let me think, do I have a nice example of package where, yes. So let me actually quickly jump here to an example. This is the roles package. And one of the things that we didn't have here was the DDP package. So that was missing. So that will be added, I think, in the next version that I have, as you can see, started building here. Or maybe I'm just having an older code version here. So, even though we have ECMAScript, you have accounts-based, tracker, Mongo, we were still missing here the DDP package. So that's a big one to look. Good approach to this is also checking out what imports do you have or exports. So if you have more modern version of package, we don't have that here as well. So that will be again another thing to ask to make the package even better. And this is also primarily to look more into the future once Meteor starts clamping down on the globals. So that's just a very quick thing. But hopefully you will only have this issue. I would say probably the biggest thing that trips people up is the DDB package, because we are so used to have it integrated into Meteor itself. Other than that, once you start an application in Meteor 3, if you are missing a dependency, it will really alert you. So it will be very quickly also to find out there.
I would also add that at the same time, if you deal with very old packages, you will realize there were things added to the package that are not necessary to be added explicitly. For example, you don't necessarily need to add the mini Mongo package if you added the Mongo package. That's usually included there. And some of the older packages, very, very older packages, like 1. something packages, they usually have still some explicit or deprecated package declarations like UI, which was of the former place declaration that was for backwards compatibility added as well. And you should actively play around and see if you can remove them if you don't need them, if it works without them as well.
Yeah, also when it comes to Blaze and other packages that are not necessarily required, you can declare a weak dependency like we have here on a Blaze, or what we have, I believe, let me see if I have it, not publish component, in, let's link accounts. That one is just a bit different, not necessarily a 3.0 migration strategy, but something that you can use in general is you can check out, use the package global, and then you put in the package name. So that way you can check if the package exists there to add additional functionality or not if it's not there. So, but then you have to kind of call it through the package global to receive all the stuff through it. So
this package global, this is always there? Can I access this on server and client every time?
Yes, that's part of the Meteor core. I think we'll have to also probably do look more into it, but I think it should be there all the time. One thing that I want to achieve is to figure out how to import it from Meteor itself, because it's not there. So I will have to look more into it, and that might be probably something that I will come back to later to figure out what is the proper way to import it. But it's a global. It should be available all the time.
I think you can just open on your browser. You can just open the browser console and enter package in the console, and it should give you an object with lots of entries there with all the packages you usually have, right?
Yeah, it should be the package. So there you go. So if you do that, you can. Sorry, it's a little bit small, but yes, I can make it bigger. Sweet.
Oh yeah.
So here I just called package on Atmosphere, and it just gave me all the packages that are being used here. So we can see that Atmosphere is still using Iron Router. So other things here. So that's one way also how you can check out what's being used.
I think Packosphere does not use Iron Router.
Oh, we can check here. Package. Let's open it up. And of course, use mostly community packages, probably CoffeeScript, probably from some of the older packages that have been updated. We have Grapher and some peer library. That's maybe where some of the CoffeeScript is coming from. And a few more things. It also kind of shows that there's less of them, that the difference in age of when these tools were built as well.
But as you can see, the CoffeeScript is actually an empty object. So it might be that this is only like a weak dependency, or this is a result of a weak dependency, if I get it right.
Well, it's I wouldn't necessarily say here, based on, because it might just be it's doing its own thing in the background, so it doesn't have any exports. So that's part of that. So here we have the Meteor itself, all that stuff. But that's kind of like, I would kind of put it more towards the hacking side of things. And,
no, but it's a good tool to manually check on things if something is off the usual, right?
Yeah, it's one of the tools that you can utilize there, and in debugging and working around things, or as I said, determining if you have the given package, especially like, for example, as we had with link accounts, where we have multiple packages from the OAuth stuff to link to. We don't want to declare dependencies on them, because we don't want to pollute your application with OAuth that you don't use. So that's why we go through the package object to determine if we can kind of have that functionality, or the function, if we can call them and stuff like that. So that way we get around having to declare dependency, and you can do the same. Right. Anything else on this? Any surprises? Let us know in the comments if you have encountered any surprising package that you thought, that you didn't even thought that you were depending on. And let us move on to the other big one that kind of say necessary. So and that is kind of declaring the versions of the packages that you need, specifically starting with versions from, that's in your package JS when you're declaring the package. You can then use the API.versions from and specify a Meteor release if you're upgrading to the latest beta. Then you're going to add in the 3.0 beta 0. Or once Meteor 3 is released, then you can just do 3.0. This will affect the selection version for the core packages. So pretty much any package that doesn't have namespace attached to it, that is the for example, Aldit namespace or community packages, stuff like that. So in this case, we only have the official packages or the core packages available. So we don't have to worry about any of the other ones. It becomes a bit tricky when you have the other packages. So we tend to kind of figure out which versions to use properly and set up. And Jan, you had some issues with this as well, didn't you?
Yep. So can you please go back to the code and explain me one thing, because this is maybe something that some of the users have seen already, but still don't 100% understand how it works behind the scenes. If I say API versions from, and then I have, besides 3.0 beta, I have 2.8 or 2.3. Why is that? Why should I use that? In which situations should I use it? And what happens in the background when I use it?
So let's just say, let's put here 2.3 points, was it like 6, I think. First of all, what you want to do is, let me put here, kind of list the Meteor versions. You want to pick up the correct versions. So if I look here, for example, yeah, so it was 2.3.6. At one point, there was a bit of confusions. Instead of using just 2.10, it was 2.10.0. So that's one thing to be just aware of this, just a side note. So what is happening in the background, it pretty much is setting automatically the versions of the core packages there, and based on the versions you define here. So this allows you to, if kind of set the minimum requirements and also the other points. So it will select. So if you have here, say for 2.3.6 and 3.0 beta, it will create, let's say 2 releases, even though it's still, in this case, our 3.0 alpha. It will do 2 options. And once you install the package in your app, it will look, okay, which one I am kind of closer to in the Meteor version. And then it will grab that version. And that version that is here, so if I have here for 2.3.6, it will then declare these packages based on what were the versions connected to that Meteor version. So in 2.3.6, it will be the regular version, and in the 3.0 beta, it will be all the beta versions. So what it does there manually, for example, in account base, it will then do 3.0 alpha 300.0.
Beta
yes, or something like that. It will pretty much fill out these for you, and this will also allow you to go over multiple versions. So why I also put here intentionally the 2.3, that was where we had in the major version upgrade in accounts base. So you had to specifically declare this version so that you could both use, if you had also, say, before more thing here 1.12.1. So this way, if I had this way, that means this package is compatible all the way from Meteor 1.12.1. Then I have the 2.3.60, so which means it will get the next major version of accounts base. And also I have the 3.0, which is another major version of accounts base. So it will kind of cover all the major versions of accounts base, but only do this if you actually are compatible with those versions. If you don't have any, if you are not depending on the API that was in the breaking release. So that's why they are the breaking releases, so that you don't have API in your code that's not compatible with what the package can do.
So it's not the simple strategy just saying I'm adding as many as releases as possible because my package is super compatible with everything, because that would blow up with some peer dependencies, right?
Potentially, it really depends. It's case by case. You have to kind of watch this carefully. Most of the times there are no major version releases. Those happen very rarely. So most of the times you don't really have to think about it, and you only add it, for example, another example when you would specify like a Meteor version is if that package has a new API has been added, then you would specify that Meteor release, for example, as the minimum one, because if you want to utilize that API, if not, you don't have to worry about it. Another option, of course, is you can set these things, to add here 0.37.1 manually. That's also one option that's going to work. It's both of these even together are going to work. But unless you have like a very specific need or something isn't working properly, I would advise against it and have it set. Have it set, the API version is wrong to set it for you, because then it selects the best version, and it also allows for a wider range of compatibility. While if you set it here, add, then it will then require that specific version, so that can keep others people back when it comes to having the newest version of that package. As I said, this is specific to core packages. If you have, say, API use, I'll delete, simple schema. It's kind of pre-filled here for me. And I need to specify the version, because these, you could say, the community packages are not tied directly to a Meteor release. So I need to specify which version I want, directly.
But here is also an option that you can use the or notation after. Let's say the package has another minor release, another major release, and they both somehow compatible, or you want to be compatible with them, then you could do the same. And from what I understand, the package resolver is always looking for the major version first, and if there is no major version conflict, then it picks the most recent one it can find that is compatible with the overall version requirements, right?
Yes, exactly. It's following semantic versioning. So if it's a major version release, it will not update you. But if it's a patch or feature release, it will be happy to do so. And of course, when you do the Meteor update, it will list of what was updated and how, and it will also list your packages that were not updated because of some restraints, and that can have multiple reasons. Sometimes you can force it a little bit. Sometimes you need to, especially when doing a major version update, you can kind of remove and re-add the package to get it to the latest version. If that doesn't work, that means that there's some other package that's restricting you from having the latest major version release of that. See anything? Let me see if maybe if I can grab a package that has. Oh, Picker I think has. Yeah, so there is quite a few more little things. So here we have Picker from, but it doesn't have any community package. Oops. We have the npm depends. That's another topic. It was not Picker. Yes, actually, yes.
This is a recently changed package, right?
Yeah. So here we see the here we see how we have it in combination. So here we have the schema deny package from Aldeed, and its dependency here. It's on collection 2 version 4, and the simple schema, and the ECMAScript is without the version. So that's that is because that depends on the API version from selection there.
Just a side note here. For future, as we all know, naming is not that easy for future. Something like this could be also called API core versions from that would be much clearer to everybody what the implications of this are. But nobody's perfect, and lots of that stuff emerged historically and naturally from many influences. But yes, this is why we're doing this deep dive, to try to explain the things in detail and giving you an idea of how it's working or how it's intended to work. So when you are on your code and trying to update it, you at least know what changes here have what effect, and avoid trial and error situations. Yeah.
Okay. So, but as mentioned before, you can also set the official packages to a specific stuff. Okay, apologies. Appears there is some emergence. I have to take this phone. Jan, why didn't cover? You had some issues when having the official, or when releasing. Why didn't cover that a little bit when I just quickly take this phone?
Yeah. I think there's also an related post in the forums. When you're publishing, then it's always using, or Meteor publish, the command is always using the current latest Meteor install you're running on, but it's using the recommended versions. So if you have your Meteor version 2.14 installed on your system, but you're working on a package that you want to publish compatible for 3.0, then you need to explicitly add the -- release flag to Meteor publish in order to set this as the Meteor version context for the publish package dependency resolutions. And we will link this forums article in this video in the description afterwards, so that you can read it up there. Basically, this is only needed or only required because the 3.0 is a beta and it's not considered a suggested release. And yeah, you can do this by entering Meteor when you're in your package and you want to publish it 3.0 compatible, and there are still some problems on dependency resolutions. Just enter Meteor publish -- release equals 3.0 minus beta 0.0, and then it should work out quite smoothly. And if not, leave a comment or engage in the forums, and then everybody will try to help you working out with that problem.
All right. So yeah, we have Laura here from Vican. Hello. Hopefully this won't be an issue once the official 3.0 is released, so things can go smoothly. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about backward compatibility, one of the great features of Meteor. How do you actually check or how do you maintain backward compatibility? For the most part, or some of the easy approaches is to actually check if you have the newer version of the API available. So that way you can have, for example, the versions from 2.8.1 and previous versions and 3.0 beta. Nice example is to check, do if statement, check if that function is available. And if yes, then use the new API that's available. If not, use the old one. That's for, I would say, more of the easier APIs, like create index and the previous underscore ensure index and all that stuff. Another way that you can also check is to call, and I think that's from version 2.8 as well. There is meteor.isFibers disabled, which pretty much is one way to asking, am I on Meteor 3 or Meteor 2? So that will check if fibers are available or not. And the general approach here is if you are using fibers directly, it will be better probably to release a new major version of your package just to make sure.
What does that mean actually? What is using fibers directly? I mean, not everyone ever entered that stage.
In this case, I would say, for example, using the fibers package or the npm fibers package. So anytime you actually import fibers, and then the big ones where it's going to get you is kind of moving from the synchronous to async await. So that's like another one where you will have to be super careful. Sometimes you can get around things, around these issues, and it depends really package by package. Maybe we'll take a look on some of them later in the program and kind of cover that. So you have to be like, brush analyze, okay, can I keep this backward compatible in some shape or form? For example, with the roles package, what we did was create the new version of the async functionality while still keeping the old synchronous versions of that functionality. And going forward, the synchronous version is going to be only client side. And then we have the asynchronous, both client and server. So that way we can do it. But if we had, for example, used the the fibers package from npm or other parts of Meteor directly, then that would have been a different story. We would have to really take that out and replace it with async await. So that's that. Another kind of trick to this is that you can limit your backward compatibility. To that, I would suggest to set the minimum versions from to 2.8.1, which will give you most of the, or at least the initial async methods that were introduced in that version. So that way you can kind of be compatible from that point onward. And
yeah, I sent you
yes,
an
putting
example.
that up.
And
oh yeah,
Yep. This is a pull request everybody can also look up. I think you need to resize just a little bit the screen so we can see. So if you scroll up,
just find some nice example.
Yeah, there's server.js. If you scroll down to the server or click on the server.js file.
Yes.
So this is Meteor Mocha Core. This is the basic package that is wrapping the Mocha process in a way that it's compatible with Meteor. And this is a former pull request where the fibers package has been removed. So as you can see there, the fibers package was imported from fibers. That's the npm package. And if you scroll down a little bit, it was nothing specific doing. It was just the replacement. You can scroll down a little bit deeper. There it is. So you see there's
Fiber
this
run.
fibers.current return run, otherwise fibers run. And that was at that time was basically the async wrapper. So now you don't need this anymore. And as you can see there was this compatibility change that if there is no fibers anymore, you just return the result of run because it will be handled asynchronously one level higher. And before that, you were using fibers. And for those who don't know how fibers worked, I don't want to wrap it up that much. It was a coroutine approach to asynchronously code, and it had some kind of a state related future value that it's awaiting and then resolving into a kind of a callback system. And we can't use that anymore, but for compatibility reasons, as you can see on the right side, that would be a typical compatibility construct where you say, okay, if fibers is disabled, which is on all newer than 2. I think at 3.0, it's of course removed. And beginning with 2.8.1, you can try that by setting the environment variable disable fibers to 1. And then
is fibers disabled? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Never mind.
But then is fibers disabled becomes true, and then you can run your code with fibers being disabled. And this is how you can also make your code compatible to pre 3.0 and 3.0 at the same time. And this is a nice example because everybody can look that up in the Meteor community packages, Mocha Core. Just open the merged pull requests, look for this one, and then you can look it up how it's working.
So that's one of the options to kind of handle these things. And of course, then it's going through the individual, API calls or the methods, all the functions to make sure that they are there, especially going towards Meteor 3.0. A lot of them have been migrated to async, so make sure to kind of cover all of that so that you don't get any nasty surprises. And hopefully you will be in the first category where you just need to check if you have a newer, better versions available. The create index async is very also nice because that's that's kind of type of a function that you fire and forget. But if you then actually have to maybe work more on it or have to manage the returns from those functions, then you need to kind of add async to your code, and that can then complicate things further. So let's see. Please let us know if you have any questions on this particular topic. We'll have a general Q&A session at the end as well. In the meantime, please like our videos so that it gets recommended to people who look for Meteor. And I think that would be really nice to have more recommendation of this video, especially when people start looking for how to migrate to Meteor 3. with that, let's see what we have next here. Okay, so gonna cover that already with the version recommendation previously. So this is more like, I would say, general tips on how to version stuff for your package. So my recommendation is, do a feature release if you can do a backward compatibility. That way you're out saying that you're adding some new feature. Usually, kind of the first you do feature release if you're just adding the async versions of APIs in your package. Then do a major release if you cannot maintain backward compatibility. So where you actually have to remove or replace some of the function, move them to async completely. So that's kind of the point of major releases, to inform the end user or the end developer that, hey, the API is changing. They are breaking things that you need to pay attention to. Please, senpai, notice me. That's kind of that feeling from having a major release. I highly recommend doing beta releases, as we did, for example, in collection 2Ks, and as we are doing with many other. Again, coming back here to our schema deny, we are just doing beta releases, and you can pretty much put anything you want if you after the dash, and that would be considered as a as a beta release or experiment release that is not going to get installed unless you specifically specify that either in the app or in the package, that depends on it, that you want this specific say testing version.
So Jan, what do you mean with it's not getting installed? In which situations?
So if you do a normal Meteor update and there isn't any package that has been like released as like an official or like version that specifically specify this version, it will not. So for example, say I depend on schema deny directly, it will not update to the beta unless I force it specifically to update to that beta release. Because if it was just say we are still back on 3.1 and then I'm going to do just like 3.1.1 release, it will automatically update to that latest release. But if I do, for example, add here the beta 0, it will not update me to this version, because this indicates, okay, this is a non-standard release. It's expandable, and I should only update to this if I have a specific, other package, or specifically in the app, I'm specified that I need to update to this specific version.
Yep. And we will later show how to do that with a little example, right?
Yes, and not quickly go back here. Yes, so we have this collection 2Ks, or in this case, schema deny. Let me actually show you how you can find or feel the tricks, how we can find the. Let me actually double check if I don't have the. Okay, yeah, so let me kind of give you some samples. Let me just quickly double check if I. Okay, so I'll cover that actually later. The how to find the proper versions for that. Also, what I recommend, if your package would allow for it, like we did with roles, or same thing, well, roles more specifically, as I mentioned before, we first added the async versions of our methods, of our functions, where it was needed, and we had them live, and we did a feature release. So you can have both the synchronous and asynchronous versions available, so that people can start migrating, but it's not going to break their apps. So this way, this is also the approach that the Meteor core itself is doing, giving you the new functions that will be, in Meteor 3. So you can start upgrading to them, but you can still use the old ones, side by side. So you will do this initial feature release, and then when it's time to completely move to Meteor 3, you do a major version release. Sometimes you won't even have to do that, again, depending on your API. But for example, again, in the case of the roles package, we will have to do that because we will have to move the synchronous functions to only be on the client where they can be, thanks to Minimongo, all that stuff. But on the server, it will be only the asynchronous ones. Let's see. Anything else you would like to add here, Jan?
Not that much. Only what I'm adding is because we talked about that lots of these recommendations are used in the Meteor community packages. If you are using one of the Meteor community packages and you find that there is something not as expected, especially in regards of the versioning and the releasing or compatibility as well, then also please comment or get in touch with us otherwise on the other channels like in Slack or in the forums, and or directly on GitHub, and let's work that out, because our goal is to make these packages as compatible as possible, but also at the same time like bleeding edge where possible, and that's a big trade-off, and it's not an easy task all the time, and we of course rely on feedback from others as well, because we only have our setups, we can test only with our setups, and your setup might be totally different from what I'm doing, and we hope that we will cover at least some idea of how it's working with this tutorial today.
Yeah. Also, sometimes when we can be like, oh, nobody's using that, completely forgotten method, and then you can, then it will break your app because you are using that. So all that feedback is super valuable. So how do we go about upgrading packages and finding packages for your app? First thing that I want to show you, which I really like, is the Meteor show command. And if we go here and let's say we'll look on the package that we're actually working here. So I do Meteor show, then add the name of the package. It will go to the server and it will kind of pull the information from you. In this case, you can also see the local version as well. So let me do that again in this case with collection 2. But it will show all the recent versions, which one do you have installed, and all that stuff. So that way you can find if there is a new version. And if you do then -- show all, it will also show you the beta releases. So that way you can very quickly check out if there is something going on towards, in this case, most likely Meteor 3 compatibility.
And this is a very powerful command also if you want to see what you have done. If you have published a package or something like this and then just want to know what do I actually have here, and what am I missing, or did I mess up something in the past that affects things that I'm doing now?
Yeah, another good thing is you can actually even get the Meteor version itself. So just the Meteor show Meteor in all caps, and then it will list all the officially released Meteor version. And of course, if you do show all, then it will also include all the alpha releases and all that stuff. You will also notice that with Meteor, it has this recommended here. That means it will try to update primarily to that unless you specify a specific release that you want to update to. You will also find some, I would say, historical artifacts. Here it's like, list of experimental versions. And that's just another way how to release Meteor. And I think there is a lot of stuff in the Meteor release functionality that hasn't been really used much. For example, I believe there are like there are tracks and other things, so you could pretty much release a Meteor version, but it could be as we used to have like a clinical track. So it's like a special version of Meteor for the clinic, for the medical industry. So there's a lot of interesting things that you can find here from the Meteor heydays as well. I think we have a help function for this. Yeah, so there's also a help function that will kind of describe it, and you can also can have eJSON output as well.
Yeah, and if you're a little bit into terminal bash and or Z shell or whatever you're running on, I think you can also play around nicely with this command and then use grep and filter the output for some pattern like you did before with the show all, and then you could filter like show me all from 2015 and then or show me all from 2023. So it's not limited to the command itself, but you can also use the output and pipe it and use AWK or whatever tool you want to get the output you need.
Yes. So, but if you are not into playing in console and working stuff, you can also check package releases on Atmosphere and Packosphere, and there is a bit of a difference between those two. So if we look here at collection 2, all the information you here have on the right side history, which lists the released versions and some other statistics. So you can see what is the latest version of all that stuff. In this, actually, I prefer Packosphere because it also lists the experimental releases, and it has here another nice thing is that if you actually click on the release, it will show you that specific version and the README for that version. So if I click back to 4.0, you might notice that some of the points here have changed, and here on top is version 4 with all that stuff. So on Packosphere, you can see a little bit more details, similar if you use show all in Meteor show command. So that's kind of like, that will give you a quick idea of okay, there is something going on. In the end, you will still need to go into the repository of the package to check out what's actually going on, or check out the changelog and history. So in the case of Meteor collection 2, you can see that the first thing that you can check in these is the package.json. Sorry, not JSON package. You will have to find, in this case, a little bit hidden in the packages. So package.js, and you want to see the API versions from, if it includes the Meteor version that you want. That's a good indicator that you have, it has the compatibility. And for most cases that should be it, but you will then probably want to also check in the pull requests, kind of clear, in this case, clear it out to see if there's like some sort of Meteor 3.0 migration, or async features being added, and of course there's always the change log to check out what's what has changed, and if there's like any need to have migrate something, it should hopefully tell you. But again, depends. All packages are a bit different how they do this, so you have to be a bit careful on managing those or looking through it. So it's a very tedious work in that aspect. And in the worst cases where the package doesn't have a change log or those specific issue, you might actually then need to go into the code and check yourself. But hopefully you won't have that kind of package in your application. So then I know if the package is unmaintained, or if they are not ready yet, or just want to get in and at least get over the initial bump for upgrading. And so, for example, for me with my packages or with my application I just want to get to the point where I can do Meteor update release 3.0 beta, and it does the update. So I just copy the packages locally and just change the API versions from to include the 3.0 beta. And then after that, the next step is to actually start changing the code to be able to start Meteor 3. What you do is you copy whatever package you want into your packages directory in your application, and that local copy will take precedence over any other versions.
You can also verify that by, if you're having a package cloned or copied into this package directory and you change the version number, for example, let's say it's 3.0.0 and you change it to 3.0.1, then Meteor should automatically detect this change and rerun and show you in the console output package upgraded from that to the higher version.
Now, let me just quickly check here something before I talk about it. Yes. Here I run the Meteor list command, which lists all the all the packages that I have. And you will notice that there is a plus with some of them, which says these packages are built locally from source. So I have here, beta pass, socialized requestable, it has a plus. So you can then, very quickly, if needed, to be able to see what is locally, and the star tells you, okay, there is a newer version available, in this case a major version. So that's I still have to migrate that in this application. So yeah, that's that. Let's see, and that's I would say for the most part where you will kind of work with with the packages as you try to upgrade. You will be copying probably a lot, at least at this stage, still a lot of packages, especially those that are unmaintained. You will have to kind of get locally. For the community packages, we are continuously progressing on them, moving them forward one by one. If you migrate your package locally, we would like to encourage you to submit a pull request to the target package. It doesn't matter that it's not pretty or the code is a bit hacky. The main point is that you provide a start from, even if you don't intend to finish it, because, for example, it fixes for the upgrade process what you need. It is still a good starting process for somebody else to come in and actually finish the full migration and all the other stuff. So please, if you have make any changes, especially in regards to Meteor 3 migration, please submit a pull request to the original package, and hopefully someone is going to pick it up, release a new version. Or you can, if you know for certain that the package that you have forked locally is abandoned, you yourself can release a new version as well.
I also link an article that I wrote on gradually upgrading a MeteorJS project, which exactly uses this technique to locally clone packages and then upgrade them step by step until you get a published version or a published version is available. And yeah, that's another interesting resources that might be something valuable for you.
Yeah, are you going to put that in the chat?
No, I'm putting that in the description of the video afterwards.
Sounds good. All right, we are slowly kind of provided examples through this. So I want to kind of ask if you guys want us to look at any specific package where we can maybe work, or Jan, do you have some package that we could look at and maybe do a quick migration?
I mean, I have an example that we could quickly use because it's actually a Meteor project and it contains one package that is not migrated yet. So that would have to be cloned locally and then have to be changed accordingly. I'm not sure if I will be able to, or if we will be able to fix it in time, but we can at least take a look at it. And
so let's take a look. Do you want to share the screen, or how are we going to do this?
Oh, we could do it like you starting cloning it and I'm commenting, but we could also do that. I'm sharing the screen. Just give me a little second. You could open the repository in the meantime, and I'm talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'll have opened the repository. So as you get ready.
So this is basically a starter template repository from my my workshop I gave earlier about creating a Meteor app with React Native. And this is it's like a boilerplate. You can clone it. It's like a template repository. You can clone it and then start immediately. And it contains a Meteor backend. And here is the thing. This Meteor backend is not updated yet. And it might be a good thing to do so in order to get this stay up to date. And of course, new starters should not start with a pre 3.0 package because we want to be at bleeding edge here, right? So let me just
I'm looking here very quickly at the packages that we have in the backend. So except the core ones, we have Meteor Testing Mocha, which already has been upgraded, so we don't have to worry about that. And we have Meteor Coverage, which I'm not so sure how that one is. So we'll find out. And then we have the Stub Collections from H. Wilson.
Yep.
I think that will be a little bit of issue. And then we have the Aldit Collection 2, which has a major version upgrade there. So you will have to add a few lines of code.
So just one thing. So the to explain you what the packages are. In the meantime, I'm setting the font size high, at large enough. The Meteor Coverage is basically a package that wraps the whole NYC, or formerly known as Istanbul packages, in order to provide you coverage when you're running your tests with Meteor Mocha. And I'm not sure its state, if it's 100% working out as expected. So we will see that.
It's a older package, so we'll have.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Definitely, but I think we'll have to go in and have that locally. I think the same thing will be for the stub collections as well.
Yeah. So just give me the console font size, and then we can finally start here. So there. 18. So now I'm here and I'm sharing my screen and letting you know what's going on. So
let me, in the meantime, find out the 2 packages we are expecting to have issues with. So, my stubs collections published last time 6 years ago.
Yes. So that's maybe the deal breaker. So if you let me share my screen quickly, I will let you know a little bit about what's going on here. So I'm in this package. So I cloned it, and as you can see, this starter package has 2 repositories: app, which is basically the React Native app, and backend, which is our Meteor project. We don't cover the app here because this is not of our focus, but we only cover the backend. So if I cd into the backend, and of course, first I am hitting Meteor minus version, you can see it's Meteor 2.14, and I'm going to, this is what I'm doing always, first Meteor npm install, and then I'm running this project just to see if the project is basically starting. We also see, there are some other issues to tackle as well, but we're focusing on the packages just right now. And what I really like to do always is first run the tests. And as you can see here, we have 3 test script: test watch, test coverage. And at the very first, I would like to run Meteor npm run test watch. And first, let's see if this is working out generally. And because if we're updating, I would really like to see if the tests are running. So, okay, tasks are running. And as you can see already here, there's lots of MongoDB stuff involved, right? Maybe that's
I think in our case, what we want to get over is the initial package update. Then the rest.
So what I would do now is that would be my approach. Is I would first say Meteor update, and then minus release equals 3.0 minus beta 0.0.
That's correct. That's also my approach.
Yeah, and I think it will not work out. It will tell us definitely, there is something that will not work out. It will blow up like boom and tell you as I expected. So already can see this is the classic problem that people will have when upgrading the projects. You have these constraints on some package, in this case web app, and Mongo are not satisfied by some constraints. And here is the problem. When you scroll down to all of this, you see at the last time, there it is, that this Meteor coverage is expecting web app 1.7. And here it's actually Aldit collection 2 that is expecting something.
That one is actually correct. It's if you look up, it's the stub collections.
Sorry, that's this one, right? So stub collection is expecting some old stuff here. So we can solve at least this partially now by, as you already told, we open up the directory, say packages, and then we are cloning these packages inside this directory, right?
Yes, I already found their GitHub, so it's
Mhm.
one collection and for the then we have the coverage. Yeah, so coverage you can, and yeah, you can clone both of them directly because it should be fine. The other one, sometimes there you won't be able to do it directly because they have like a maybe monorepo or something like that. You need to actually clone the folder where you have the package.js file.
So we have now here these two packages, Meteor coverage and Meteor stub collections. And I'm opening now their packages.js file because that's the file we actually have to cover. I just see, sorry, I'm seeing that my text might be too small. Just give me a second to.
Is that WebStorm?
Yeah.
I think if you go to view under appearance, there's actually a Zoom IDE.
Oh, I
option.
didn't know. Thank you learning something new. I always manually increase the font. I will do that next time with the view. That's a better option because I don't have to restore all these fonts on each of these parts here.
So view appearance and then Zoom IDE.
Okay. So if you take a look at this package.js file here, then you can see the versions the last one is 2.3, but I think these are not really the problematic versions right now.
Yeah, it was the web app in here. So if you put in the 3.0 beta, that should get you over the web app issue
So
there.
let's try that again, right? Hitting Meteor update -- release. Let's see if at least that one has been worked out.
Yep, it was.
Okay, but I have to update my package version because I linked a different package version. As you can see in this .meteor/packages, you can see that I actually use that version here.
So if you remove the specific version, it should be fine.
So hey, HTTP, it's the same.
So HTTP because HTTP was deprecated, so that's another thing there, but that's not the issue here. That's interesting.
What I could do, or what I could think of now, is doing something like this. At 3.1.0 minus beta 300.0. That's the latest release from Meteor testing Mocha. And it should favor the HTTP. Let's see if that works out. No, it didn't. So we have to get back to.
We'll get back. Let's fix the other one. Sometimes it can be a false positive. So let's do the other package, and because that one doesn't make any sense. That the first one.
Yep.
There, so
yeah, we don't need accounts 2 point something in a 3.0 app. We have to remove that now, of course. Okay. Yeah. And should I run again?
No. Check out first the other package, the stub collection.
Yep.
And let's take that as well. So package.js.
Release 1.3. This is something we have to change.
beta 0.
Should we do that? Make that a 2.3?
You can try. I think it will not hurt in this case. Because in your case you are trying for beta, so it's going to take the second or like the 3.0 beta definition there. Let's see, the fetch package is, or the HTTP is the
Also, we are on this HTTP thing right now, so we have to go back to the coverage package. And what I would do now, that would be at least my approach, I would do something like this, because I think the HTTP package has no difference between 1.0 and 2.0 from the API signature.
Yeah, I think it looks to me like something else is setting you up to be 1.4.4 for the HTTP package. Probably something maybe in the habits. But try to run this. Let's see what's going to happen. The thing is, HTTP package is deprecated. You should be using the fetch package. So now it looks, yep, we've gotten through this. Fingers crossed. Of course, you will have to do a lot of work in the background. In this case, I would probably first look into replacing HTTP with fetch.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not, this is
that's a different problem.
Not package resolution. This is, I would say, in this case, it might be with maybe npm packages or something like that.
Yeah, that's the node chip rebuild.
So that is unrelated to this.
Yeah. So at that point, the packages would have been updated correctly, and you could run your app. Actually, this is a different thing, and I think I know where this comes from, because I messed up my node chip with some Python installations. I was messing around with. But yeah, that happens when you don't run your Python stuff in Docker containers. Then you're messing up your node environment, and
just trying too hard, Jan.
Yeah, I was trying too hard, and yeah, it's good for next time. It's you're always learning a little bit more about everything here. So at that point, I would not be able to continue, but at least we have these packages updated.
Yeah.
Now is the interesting part, because that's what we suggested to you is definitely doing at least a pull request in these repositories with these compatibility changes, right? So that's what we intend to do, and because we make this working out on a local setup, and then we should definitely make it available to everyone, because we are benefiting from lots of open source packages here, and that's the least we can do to give back and make everyone else benefit from it, right?
Yeah. So that's and at this point, once you kind of work through your through the version resolving, definitely keep a note which packages you have kind of, you would say, cheated, which is just adding the versions to include the Meteor 3. But you have to kind of look in. Oftentimes, especially if that package doesn't touches any function that has been changed to async or stuff like that, or doesn't rely on collection functions, then sometimes you can just add the new compatibility, and that would be it. I would say in many cases that would be it. But if it touches anything to do with MongoDB or the even web app is going to be fine for the most part. So primarily, if it touches anything that requires MongoDB or to migrate
Yeah.
which is kind of related to async. Then you have to make changes if you're lucky, and it doesn't, then just adding the new compatibility and you're a happy camper.
So Jan, as I said in advance, I have to leave in a few minutes, and I would say at that point maybe we go and let our viewers ask some questions if they want.
Yes.
Maybe you want, or I will do a follow-up video where I'm doing the exact same procedure of this upgrade, but where you can see that it's working, because of course this gives the impression nothing works because it crashed. That crashed because I messed up my system, so it has nothing to do with the package conflicts. They are resolved here in this example, but maybe I'm doing a follow-up video to show that it works, right?
Yeah. So yeah, this is now time for questions. So if you have questions, or if you have a package that I will look at, I also have a time limit, but it's a bit bigger than yours, Jan. So if you have a specific package that isn't like super big that you want us to look at, or maybe some small application, would be happy to quickly do that, or primarily me. Let us know if you have any questions in the chat. We'll wait for it. In the meantime, again, I'm Jan Dvorak, aka StoryDollarCZ, and with me is Jan Kuster. If you like what we are doing, or if you would like to support us working more on open source, we've attached here our links to our GitHub sponsors. So please do send some tea and coffee our way. We'll be very happy for that. And yeah, also, again, for those watching this at a later date from the original stream, if you have any question, please comment, and we'll be happy to answer those in comments. You can also reach to us on the Meteor forums, the community Slack, or via email as well. So not seeing any comments at this time. There is just one from Lori from Weekend, which is not entirely related. That's just primarily to a pull request that I'm doing for Weekend to upgrade to latest collection 2, and we are having some issues there. And which I'll have to get some time more. Hope this week was totally atrocious for me, but hopefully in 2 weeks I will have some more time to look at it again. All right, I'm not seeing any questions so far. So I think with that, thank you very much, Jan. I'll let you go a bit early so you don't have to rush or anything like that. I'll stay here for a few more minutes just in case something shows up, and then I'll close the stream.
Yeah, and I'm preparing definitely a follow-up on this, because I can't leave that open with an error message here, right?
Yeah. For me, I am migrating different applications on my personal streams, or building from scratch. Last Monday, was it last Monday? Yes, last Monday I was starting building Meteor community, let's say, website, starting with Meteor 3 itself. We found actually a bug in one of the core packages itself, so I submitted a PR, so that's there, and I will be coming back to that in February. On Monday I have non-technical stream, so that's more great writing. So in February I will have lot more migrating and building Meteor 3 applications. So I always stream on Monday at 4 p.m. Central European time. And of course, every Friday, we have our Meteor Dispatches news stream. So check us out there as well on this channel. So every Friday, we kind of go over the news in Meteor and related technical news as well.
And for others to note, I updated the description already. So the packages and repositories we covered here are added there. And also the example how to write code that is compatible to fibers and non-fibers removed, and the article I published to progressively upgrade a locally cloned package. So in case someone is interested in these resources, just check the description below. There is everything you need.
All right. Since I don't see any more questions, that will be it. So yeah, thank you very much, Jan, for coming here with me. We'll be doing another deep dive. We are planning a Blaze round panel. We'll have another deep dive, which we'll be deciding on next week. So stay tuned for more Meteor 3 news. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow at Meteor Dispatches.
See you.